did you guys first get connected with him as he was an American? Known him?
There was this audition thing, or whatever. I heard there was an audition piano going on in the club. And I was wondering how long the guitar was back. So I went down there. There's all these people moving about. And everybody was sitting there and we just played. And Chaz was like, play bass. I said, no. I said, Chop. So, boom, 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 boom. I don't know. And then they said, come back the next day. They gave me £1. Great. And Mitch came down, who had to play. And they said, would you like to do some things? Ross, me.
How did you guys first get connected with him as he was an American?
Or whatever, there was a piano going on in the club. And I was wondering how long the guitar was back in tension. So I went down there. There was all these people moving about. And everybody was sitting around with these players. And Chaz said, play bass. I said, no. I said, stop. And they said, come back next day. £1. And Mitch came down and went to play. And I said, would you like to do some things? Ross, me, and we did some rehearsal. And about a week later, we went out to the
I was talking to some little kids, the people that they call peanut butters, I was talking to them and I found out, I said, what was your favorite group? What's your favorite group? Do you know anything about music? They said, yeah, we like the Cream, we like your group. I said, oh yeah, great, thank you very much. Beautiful. If I said, wow, the minds are different. So they don't want to hear about manufactured tinfoil music,
Well, who do you think's buying all these records?
Well, right now, there's nothing else for them to buy, and quite naturally, it has more publicity than most of the best records. So they have to buy something, so they buy those things.
Do you think underground radio's changing?
Well, yeah, definitely. Underground radio is getting together so nicely. How to stuff that it keeps on, like with the stereo and so forth. So that makes everybody make a little better records and stereo singles and so forth. That means music itself is being presented to the public in a better way.
Your music seems to be in a class by itself as far as, where it's at musically. And now it seems that everybody else is doing it. Are you planning on, getting into something different because they're chasing it?
See, all I can just is do what comes natural to me, Like, I don't mind. It's a good feeling sometimes when people are like, they base a group on maybe your group or something like that. But then quite naturally, if they feel, that they want to get their own sound together, well, that's the best part to have. Because they eventually get your own sound together. It's like what we're doing. We call our music electric church music.
Electric church?
Yeah, because it's like a religion to us.
Should have called the album that instead of Electric Ladyland. Same thing.
Yeah, well, some ladies are like church to us, which is another thing. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Watch your lady.
Mitch, does the fact that Jimi Hendrix has arrived at the proportions of a superstar and it bother you and Noel at all?
And I don't see it because you only get involved in what you're aware of. Like if you want to be, if you go out to be a superstar, a social superstar, I don't personally know what that means. All I know is that if you get to some level, quite obviously it can be very nice, but like there's other things that go with it as well. They're equally as bad. So it's up to you what you get involved in.
Because everybody's people and everybody's natural, so why should it affect people?
Say from the opening of Rainy Day right through to the end of, Voodoo Child Returns, you think there's a definite progression as far as your each individual concerned?
Yeah, I think quite naturally. Yeah, the whole LP means so much. It wasn't just dropped together. Every little thing that you hear on there means something. It's not no game that we're playing. trying to blow the public's mind or so forth. It's a thing that we really, really mean. You know, it's part of us, another part of us. So then an extra lady comes along, and we really got about half of what we wanted to say then.
What did you really want to say?
Oh man, it would have taken about 2 more LPs. You know, it would have been a 4 LP.
You know, what was the basis?
Oh, I
Not
can't
the
say
concept,
it. You know, I can't say it right now because it's like I'm thinking about.
It's an unfair question.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, the thing is nowadays anybody can protest. You know, and anybody can write beautiful songs and all that. But sometimes if you have a talent or if people are noticing you enough, then you should really try to do as much as you possibly can with it, you know. Like what we're going to do now is chop down the words now and try to make it really tight. And what we're saying is not protesting, but giving the answers or some kind of solution, you know, instead of going towards the negative thing.
Nobody's done it yet. Everybody knows, but nobody kind of comes up with
right. So that's what I'm working on now. You know, I'm working on that scene. So the next 2 LPs will be like towards that scene, giving some kind of solution for people to grasp.
What kind of music do you want to get into now, Mitch?
I don't know, you know, music's all the same to me. It's only good and bad. There's different directions, you know, but that's it. I really can't tell. I mean, there's different kinds of, it's like, you know, there's different kinds of clothes you might have to wear according to your mood. And there's different kinds of music I want to listen to and play according to my mood. You know, it's like, there are certain kinds of musicians. I mean, like Jimmy and Noel, right, can bring out a certain feeling in me that other people can't bring out. And there again, like someone else can bring out a different kind of feeling.
Which is equally good.
Yeah, equally as valid, you know. Just depends on how you feel.
Now, as far as the different concert audiences that you're playing to, do they react differently to the Jimi Hendrix experience?
I don't know, man. They're just freaking out when we play. But they listen to us, which is a really thing. You know, when the audience is quiet while you're playing, that's really great. That means they're listening. So it's like around Canada, it's listening, you know. There's a few little piggies in the back row, you know, squealing here and there once in a while, but I don't know. I don't think about those things. I think about, you know, the feeling that is there. It makes it's like all the spirits like collect for an hour and a half or so. That's what it's supposed to be. It doesn't call for talking.
You know, the experience represents something in world pop culture, not just in England, but all over the world.
Yeah, that's not saying we're giving any social service or anything. I think it comes down to the basic old thing, old cliche, you know, about sort of being in the right time at the right place.
Yeah. Mm.
I mean, the public, you know, if anyone enjoys what we're doing, fine. If they don't, I don't give a damn, personally, because I want to carry on playing regardless, you know, because I really believe in what I'm doing.
It's up to the people who buy it. They can figure it out. They know how I done. That's why they buy records for, so they can hear things. And they can hear the truth or lies in records, you know.
Yeah, but what about someone like Cats and Castanets with their 1910 Fruit Gum Company?
Well,
Who took a nice 32-bar song, and they just, you know, they
if
just
all the groups that
you.
make it, you know, all the groups that make a few monies, you know, here and there. Well, if they should get together and get their own thing together, their own label and all that, pretty soon those things will dwindle out, you know. And pretty soon they'll probably be so smart as well, they won't buy those things, they'll do nothing but laugh at them. You know, that's where it's all at. It takes time, everything takes time. But if everybody is honest to themselves, well, there you go, it all works out in time.
You know, it's like, there are certain kinds of musicians.
represent something in world pop culture, not just in England, but all over the world.
Yeah, that's not saying we're giving any social service or anything. I think it comes down to the basic old thing, old cliche, that's being in the right time at the right place.
Yeah.
At all.
For the first time.
This is a man! Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
We welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America.
Bullet, while we're having this argument.
Something wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some questions
And then he
about it?
finally blows his
I'm going to say I feel
head off in the back seat.
good.
It's all because, he was pissed because he didn't tell us about the kid in the bathroom.
It sounds to me as though you're not troubled
People come of age and their parents
by any of
let them watch it
this at all.
for the first time.
This is a man.
And it's still like, it's the coolest shit they've ever seen in their lives. So
Well,
I'm good with
Thanks for reminding us of that.
that. I mean,
James, I have to
people
ask you one
who do their whole careers and nobody remembers
serious question.
anything. A lot of
I understand you already
things I say in movies, people still say to me, so I don't know
A divorce
if it's me, I don't know if it's the writing.
proceedings. Does that mean
My favorite line
that
from Pulp Fiction is
well,
What country are you from?
yes, I'm singing.
That ain't no country
I want to mingle.
ever heard of. They speak
Papa's got
English and what?
a brand new bag.
I like that little
Living in America.
segment.
the
In
women
Pulp Fiction, in the original
you when you get out there.
script, in the diner, when Tim first comes over
How's that, lady?
and he asks,
Well, I'm asking you.
Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
We welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America.